It was a stormy night, the kind of night that seems to invite dread and unease into our very souls. I lay in bed, awoken by the relentless rain drumming against my bedroom window. The room was cloaked in darkness, and I could feel an eerie chill seeping into my bones. It was then that I realized I had forgotten to close the curtains before retiring for the night. As thunder rumbled ominously in the distance, I reached out for my phone on the nightstand, curious about the time. The glowing screen displayed the hour, 3 a.m. The world outside my window was asleep, yet my world was about to be irrevocably changed. A notification blinked on my phone's screen, an ominous message from an unknown sender. The message simply read, "You've been chosen." My heart quickened and a sense of dread clawed at my chest. Who could this be? And what did they mean by chosen? My mind raced, attempting to grasp a rational explanation, but none surfaced. I decided to dismiss it as some random spam or perhaps a cruel prank. Just as I was about to lay my phone back on the nightstand, it buzzed again. Another message had arrived. This time it contained a link that beckoned me with an irresistible, almost sinister allure. It led to a website I had only heard whispered about in hushed tones, the infamous dark web. I had heard chilling tales of the dark web, a hidden abyss on the internet where illicit deeds and unspeakable horrors thrived. Until that night, I had never dared to venture into its shadowy recesses. Yet something about that cryptic message drew me closer, compelling me to follow the link. Fear and curiosity warred within me as I hesitated, then finally succumbed to the pull. With a trembling hand, I clicked the link and the screen transformed before my eyes. Sinister images and cryptic text greeted me as I found myself on a malevolent website. A chat window materialized and a username appeared. Messages began to pour in. The screen blinked and the chat window vanished. In its place, a live video feed began streaming. I watched in horrified fascination as the feed revealed a dimly lit room adorned with flickering candles. In the center stood a figure, shrouded in a dark hooded robe, their face hidden in the shadows. The voice that emanated from the figure was distorted and eerie, sending shivers down my spine. "Welcome, player," it intoned. "To win this game, you must confront your deepest fears." The room suddenly transformed, and I found myself standing in a nightmarish landscape, a place plucked from the darkest corners of my psyche. Shadows writhed, and grotesque creatures lurked in the periphery of my vision. The fear I had only known in my nightmares clawed at my soul. The voice continued, "You have 3 challenges to overcome. Fail, and you will face the consequences. Succeed, and you may escape this nightmare." The first challenge took me to a room filled with mirrors, each one distorting my reflection into a grotesque, monstrous version of myself. I had to discern the real mirror and shatter it to progress. As I searched, my own reflection taunted me, whispering my deepest insecurities and fears. Panic threatened to engulf me, but I finally located the true mirror and smashed it, gasping for breath as I moved on to the next trial. The second challenge led me into a nightmarish forest, where every rustle of leaves felt like the approach of a malevolent creature. I had to navigate this maze of trees without succumbing to paralyzing fear, but branches seemed to reach out to ensnare me, and sinister eyes watched from the shadows. My heart pounded as I stumbled through the darkness, battered but alive when I emerged on the other side. The third and final challenge transported me to a pitch-black room, where a lone, flickering candle provided the only source of light. I had to keep the candle alive while enduring a barrage of terrifying whispers, each one revealing a personal secret or hidden fear. The voices grew louder and more insistent, threatening to rend my sanity. But I clung to that candle, refusing to let it extinguish. Finally, the whispers faded, and the room brightened. I had conquered the challenges, but the worst was yet to come. The hooded figure returned, its voice dripping with malevolence. "You have succeeded, but the game is not over. Now you must confront your ultimate fear." Suddenly, the figure stepped into the light, revealing its face. It was me. My own face leered back at me, twisted into a malevolent grin. It mocked and taunted me, revealing every dark secret and fear I had concealed within myself. I screamed in terror, unable to bear the sight any longer. The figure lunged at me, and the room plunged into darkness. I felt a searing pain in my chest, and then nothing. I awoke in my own bed, drenched in sweat. It had all been a nightmare, a twisted, horrifying dream. But the terror still lingered, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed. I checked my phone, half expecting to see another message, but there was nothing. It was just an ordinary morning, the rain still falling outside. Yet I couldn't shake the feeling that I had glimpsed something truly sinister on the dark web, something that should have remained hidden. As days turned into weeks, the nightmare continued to haunt me. I couldn't escape the feeling that I had invited something malevolent into my life by clicking that link. I lived in constant fear, always looking over my shoulder, waiting for the darkness to return. And then one day I received a message on my phone. A message that chilled me to the bone. It was not over. It all began one rainy night when my insomnia got the best of me. My apartment was shrouded in darkness, illuminated only by the soft glow of my laptop screen. Unable to sleep, I decided to dive into the depths of the internet, a place I had never dared to explore before, the dark web. As I navigated the murky waters of Tor, a browser designed for anonymity, a sense of foreboding crept over me. The websites I encountered were like nothing I'd ever seen on the surface web. They offered everything from illicit drugs and counterfeit documents to gruesome tales of the macabre. My heart pounded as I stumbled upon a forum with a sinister reputation, the Nightmare Nexus. Rumors claimed that the most disturbing and horrifying content could be found here, but I brushed them off as mere exaggerations. I was about to discover how wrong I was. Intrigued and reckless, I clicked into the Nightmare Nexus, greeted by a wall of cryptic usernames and chilling profile pictures. Threads with titles like The Unseen Terrors and Beyond the Veil drew me in like a moth to a flame. I chose the latter, my cursor hovering over the link. The thread was filled with stories from anonymous users, each more disturbing than the last. Tales of encounters with otherworldly entities, cursed objects, and unexplainable phenomena poured forth. One user, who went by the name Eyes Wide Shut, shared a story that would haunt my dreams. According to Eyes Wide Shut, they had purchased a cursed mirror from the dark web, an antique mirror with an ornate, sinister frame. Its glass was said to show the true nature of one's soul. As I read on, I couldn't help but feel a creeping sense of dread. Eyes Wide Shut claimed that, after staring into the mirror for hours, their reflection began to change. Their face contorted into an expression of sheer terror, while the room behind them grew darker as though consumed by an insatiable void. They had glimpsed something unspeakable, something that now haunted their every waking moment. Intrigued and disturbed by the story, I decided to contact Eyes Wide Shut. My fingers trembled as I typed out a private message asking for more details. Minutes turned into hours as we exchanged messages, and the more I learned, the more I felt compelled to see this cursed mirror for myself. Eyes Wide Shut agreed to send me the mirror, albeit with a warning. Once you look into it, there's no turning back. Days passed, and the package arrived at my doorstep. Inside was the mirror, a chilling relic with a malevolent aura. I couldn't resist the temptation. I had to see what lay beyond. That night, I locked myself in my dimly lit room and placed the mirror before me. As I gazed into it, my reflection began to change, just as Eyes Wide Shut had described. Fear gripped my heart as I witnessed the room behind me darken as if it were being devoured by an abyss. My own reflection contorted into a mask of terror, and that's when I saw it. A grotesque, shadowy figure lurking just beyond the glass. Its eyes, hollow voids, stared back at me with malevolence that sent shivers down my spine. I couldn't look away, couldn't escape its gaze. I knew then that I had unleashed something unimaginable, something that would haunt me for the rest of my days. The dark web had shown me a nightmare that could never be forgotten. And now, the horrors of the unseen world were my constant companions in the waking world, and my endless torment in the realm of sleeplessness. In the heart of the dark web's abyss, I stumbled upon a sinister auction. The item up for bidding was a cryptic video file known as the Blackened Revelation. Rumors hinted that it held the secrets to forbidden knowledge that could change the very fabric of reality itself. Driven by curiosity and an insatiable thirst for the unknown, I placed my bid, and soon the video arrived in a plain, unmarked USB drive. The file was a mere 20 minutes long, but those minutes would haunt me for the rest of my life. It began with a disorienting whirl of distorted faces, flickering in and out of existence like ghostly apparitions. Eerie chants, spoken in a language that felt alien to my ears, accompanied the unsettling visuals. But it was the haunting melody that truly sent shivers down my spine, a tune so discordant it seemed to have been composed in the bowels of hell itself. As I watched, The screen seemed to warp and crack as though the very fabric of reality was unraveling before my eyes. Shapes and shadows contorted, merging and separating in grotesque dance. I couldn't tear my gaze away, as if some unseen force held my eyes captive. Then, from the abyss of the screen, a figure emerged, a silhouette blacker than the darkest night. Its presence seemed to seep into the room, a palpable malevolence that filled the air like an oppressive fog. It whispered secrets not in words but in emotions, a symphony of dread, despair, and madness that clawed at the edges of my sanity. The figure's whispers burrowed into my mind, a relentless assault on my consciousness. It revealed knowledge that no mortal should possess, esoteric truths about the cosmos, the fragility of human existence, and the insignificance of our days turned into sleepless nights as I grappled with the knowledge I had unwittingly invited into my life. The figure from the video, the entity from beyond the veil, had become an ever-present shadow in my existence. Its whispers grew louder, more insistent, as if it sought to consume my thoughts and obliterate my sense of self. I knew then that I had ventured too far into the abyss of the dark web.